Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday morning, 9 o'clock demo, backdoor from Bronson Coffee Roasters. I'm Joshua, and let's just be frank. Can we be frank? We meet here weekly. I appreciate that you come. It's been a rough day for me so far. So let's have a little authenticity, shall we? It was a rough morning. I just had to get that off my chest before we start any kind of conversation here. I could come on and just pretend like everything's okay. It's not okay in my household. Just thought I'd let you know that. So if that if that rings true for anybody else, raise your hands. Um, we had a tough morning this morning, and it's okay for me to say that. So if I seem a little distracted or a little in my head, please forgive me. Just know that's the context with which I'm greeting you today. It was a rough morning in our household. Um, so I'm going to distract myself a little bit in a healthy way with something I love. Maybe that's something you can do too when you're having hard times in your homes as we all continue to adjust to the new world we live in. Maybe there's some things that are constant. Coffee, hopefully, is one of them. That's my segue. Okay, so welcome. Backdoor from Bronson does these 9 o'clock demos Monday through Friday. We focus on brewing techniques. We focus on brewing at home, questions for the home barista, and then some of these items which are deeper dives. So the deeper dives are ways that we take a look at one of our coffees that's in our catalog and just discuss it a little more in depth. Maybe kind of the way you would if you were in one of our cafes talking to one of the barista or coffee professionals that works for us. So this one's going to be a little briefer than they usually are because we're talking about the Bolivia Buena Vista, which we actually already discussed last week, Wednesday. Go back and look in our little video archive on Facebook. You can also find it in Twitter. We had a conversation with Daniela in Bolivia, a great live talk with her and Bob Bank, our green bean buyer, which we discussed this Bolivian coffee, the Buena Vista, which we have been purchasing for 4 years now from their farms. So if you want more information on it, that's a really deep dive, direct to the producer. In this case, we're just going to talk a little bit more about the highlight some of the things we discuss around flavor. So I'll refer us back to our flavor wheel. If you guys you remember this from other conversations we've had, you can see that there's a whole series of categories on the very inner circle of that ring. And those represent different broad categories of flavors, aromatics and flavors, what come to be flavors. And so within that, as it extends out from that ring, you'll see that it gets more and more specific till you get to the very outside of the ring. And those are the things that we work on as we taste a coffee, as we put it through sample roasting and get it into the window of what we think we can coax out of that beautiful little seed. Those are the aromatics and flavors that we find most prevalent. So in the case of the Bolivia Buena Vista, you're going to see obviously a theme here. So molasses, nougat, which is inside this chocolate here. And if you're a chocolate aficionado like myself and my wife and our son are, you'll notice right away what chocolate that is, right? Toblerone from Switzerland, famous for nougat in its chocolate, and then pecans as well. So very much a coffee that is bringing forth some of those kind of deeper flavors that we often associate a lot with maybe Central American coffees, right? So in this case, South American coffee with those lovely deep nougat, pecan, nut, roasted nut, and specifically molasses, I think, is probably one of the key indicators when I think about this coffee, because the sweetness in it is just, it's so amazing. It's unlike the sweetness that I have experienced in other coffees that we offer, and it has to do with the way often, when we talk about um, coffee, we talk about the balance of elements in the coffee. And those elements are often acidity and body are the kind of the first big two categories we often talk about. And what we mean when we talk about those things are often, just to be clear, when we talk about acidity, we're not really talking about the pH balance of the coffee, right? We're talking about a sensorial experience or a sensual experience on the palate, the perceived acidity, the brightness of the coffee, its crispness, right? That's what we're talking about. And then we balance it with body, right? Let me see if I can position this a little bit better. So you'll see that I'm using kind of the go-to method that I've come to love in brewing with all of you, which is the Clever Brewer. Use about 30 grams of coffee there. Very coarsely ground for the Clever, because remember, the Clever is a full immersion brewer. And with those 30 grams, I'm going to get it up to a little over 500 grams of water. And I'll start my timer as well. So the acidity we think of as the body, and as acidity we think of the brightness and the crispness on the palate in balance with body, which we often talk about as the way it coats the palate, the way it lays on the palate, that kind of experience. So if we were to assign some words, I often think of acidity as like a lemon, and body as like velvet, right? The way it feels on my palate. Hopefully it feels like velvet. So in the case of balance, we prize that because some coffees are going to naturally have a more apparent acidity. Some coffees are going to have less apparent acidity. And some coffees are going to have more body that appears on the palate. Some are going to have less. And so when we talk about balance, we're looking for coffees that really sit in that place where we can experience the acidity and the body, and neither one overrides the other, right? Now, people have different tastes and different preferences for coffee, and that's awesome because there are so many coffees. Even just looking at our catalog, we have many, many coffees. And so there's often a coffee for you. And people totally get into what their preferred coffee is. And that's awesome. And we love helping folks find those. I hope that this one becomes one of yours. And specifically for the way the acidity and body relate to the sweetness of the coffee. Because that's been my main takeaway, and that's why I kind of highlight that molasses quality. Because when we think of molasses, we think of body maybe, right? Just because we have an association with it, right? It's molasses, it's thick and big, and it coats, and it has like honey-like quality to it. So we might have a kind of intellectual or emotional response to the idea of molasses, which means a lot of body. However, there is a balance of brightness and acidity in this coffee as well. And so that sweetness just really, really gets to have the best of both worlds. It has that rich coating quality to it, but it also has a little bit of pep to it, brightness that we sometimes have when we think of sweetness as well. Like if we think of putting like a white sugar cube right on your tongue. We've all done it, don't lie. You put that sugar cube on your tongue and you get that kind of bright, like maybe feel it in your cheeks too, right? So that's why this coffee is so awesome, because it has both those worlds in it when we talk about the sweetness. And I think molasses really gives that it's really a good descriptor word for it. So as always, I do want to take a moment as we're waiting for the coffee to finish up here to head over to our website. And I want to remind everybody about our discount that occurs. So you go to our website, you can go to Organic Bolivia Buena Vista. You can always go to the detailed coffee report. I often recommend that you do that. Read a little bit more about our partners in Bolivia. And then you can choose your 12-ounce option, and you can even choose if you need it ground, you can do that. Whole bean is what I often recommend, and I hope that you have a grinder at home. I think we're going to maybe do a tutorial on grinders this next week. Let me know if that sounds like fun for you. I think it would be fun for folks. So, and then of course, once you add that to your cart, you know that your coffee's done and it's time to decant it. So you add that to your cart, and here's the thing I always want to show you, just so that you know, once you go to your cart, you type in that code right here. Oops, I was going to type in whole bean. Watch and learn 10, right? And we apply that right in here in our shopping cart, and that gets us that discount. There you can see it's didn't apply. Now I feel silly. Watch and learn 10. Always great to test things out before you get online. There it is. Okay. Haha. Wasn't that fun? That was exciting. So our coffee is ready to decant now. So we'll go ahead and there we are. Last week I caught myself here in this space without a way to drink the coffee. I remembered my mug though, my favorite mug, my little green mug. Thanks all for being here today. I appreciate it. I'm just watching this kind of finish up here. Bolivia, great coffee. Again, the sweetness in it is just what kind of made my heart sing as we tried this year's version of the Buena Vista. Know that these coffees, they do change from year to year. You know, if you've been watching the demos, or if you've ever come into our stores to learn about coffee with us, you know that coffee is an agricultural product, that it relies on something called the terroir, right? So the land, the weather patterns, the specific way that weather interacts with the soil, and then just how is the weather that year in that part of the world? How old are the trees that it's planted on? What kind of, what's going on with the soil and the age of the soil? All of those things play a part from year to year in any agricultural product. And coffee maybe more than others, because what we're capturing, of course, is that seed, right, that's inside the coffee. And that is the kind of the storehouse that is, that is generating, going to pass on the genetics of that coffee tree, and it's being affected by its environment. So from year to year, our coffees can be different. We do hope that, when there's kind of a category that they fit into, we hope they stay around that area, because you, customers, us, we come to love coffees. We have quite a few in our catalog that have like die-hard fans, and it's because whatever those qualities are in that coffee, people love, and they of course would like to have it recreated. And we kind of have to, we're at the mercy of nature in that one, right? We hope so too, but we also know that things can change from year to year. I've always liked this coffee from when we brought it in. I'm really loving it this year. So I hope you're getting a chance to love it as well. I will always, excuse me, remind us that, see right above my head? Remember to use that coupon code, right? Watch and Learn 10. That's really a great way for us to thank you for being a part of our community here, and knowing that we're able to make things maybe a little bit easier from day to day as we are learning how to turn our homes into cafes. We're all brewing a little more coffee. Hopefully you're learning from these videos, and we hope that we can continue to improve your experience at home as we all enjoy coffee together. So I'm going to take this coffee, I'm going to drink it, I'm going to strengthen my soul to head back out and be the educator that I did not know I was going to need to be. To this degree, parents are always educators, right? But I'm learning about how hard it is to learn, and so I hope that my son takes it easy on me. I hope that you take it easy on yourselves, and we'll see you in this space tomorrow and for the rest of the week. Oh, I wanted to remind you, tomorrow, 9 a.m. at this space. So Wednesdays have become kind of our interview show day. So tomorrow at 9 a.m., Bob Bank, our green bean buyer, is going to join me, and we're going to have a conversation with Janice, who is one of the executives at Food for Farmers. Food for Farmers is an organization that Backdorf supports, and would love for you to come and hear a little bit more about the work they do supporting agricultural communities, and some of the work that we do in supporting them, and maybe even ways that you can support them as well. So please join us here tomorrow at 9 a.m. We'll send some reminders out to all these platforms. Have a great day. Take care of yourselves and be well. See you tomorrow.